Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Yeah.
This is not the sideshow.
Yeah.
This is not the undercard.
Yeah.
This is the main event.
Yeah.
Ryan Baldwin here.
Yeah.
And over there,
Yeah.
my right-hand man sitting on my left-hand on my side.
Yeah.
The Teflon Talker.
Yeah.
The Colossus of Charisma.
Yeah.
The boy wonder from the frozen north. The one, the only Mason Shepherd.
Yeah. 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 Let me talk to ya. Coming off Thanksgiving, folks. Ryan and I both discussed off camera. Not the best Thanksgiving in the world, not the best Thanksgiving break, but the food was still good.
Food was good. It was just busy, you know.
Very busy.
I miss the days back in the olden days when my Thanksgiving break was like nothing. It was an actual break.
Yes, it was an actual. You remember just getting out of school and it was just like, I got a week to do nothing.
Yes, and then because like they would always like, dude, you see next year UNT is rolling
with a
fall
week
break for a whole week. I'm like, man, I graduate in 2 weeks. You couldn't have done this year.
The only thing is that means like we're not going to get out like, well, you wouldn't have anyway, but you know, like we're not going to be getting out like May 12th or anything. It's going to be extended a little bit more to like middle to late May,
I guess.
Which I mean, it's May regardless, but like,
well, wouldn't it be December? Wouldn't it only extend to December?
Well, no, because I think the winter break is still going to be where it has to be.
Okay.
But I think like it's going to be one of those things where because of Thanksgiving break being introduced, the start date is going to be a little earlier and the leave date's going to be a little later.
Got it.
Versus now where the start date's late and we get to leave early.
All right, well, let's dive into the NCAA football because it was rivalry week and it started off on Thanksgiving with the Egg Bowl. Did you know that was the Egg Bowl? Mississippi State versus Ole Miss?
I did not know that's what that was called.
Did you know why? Because I did some research.
Of course you did. Well, tell the people, Ryan.
Okay, so it's the Egg Bowl because back in the day, Ole Miss used to, or one of the, I don't remember the exact ones, but one of the teams used to dominate, and after the first time the other person won, they stormed the field, tilled down the goalpost. Well, the school didn't like that, so the students of both came together to create a trophy.
Yeah.
And it was a gold trophy. I think it was probably made out of like brass or something, you know, but it was like a golden trophy of what was supposed to be a football. Well, the footballs back then were a little bit different, shaped more like kind of like a rugby ball than it was an actual football today.
Mm-hmm.
So now it looks like a big golden egg. So the trophy is the golden egg, and therefore the game is the Egg Bowl.
Could they not have come up with a better name than Egg Bowl? That makes me want egg scrambled right now. Like that. I mean,
well, first of all, what's wrong with scrambled eggs?
Nothing. No, that's what I'm saying. Like nothing's wrong with it, but I'm just like golden Egg Bowl, like something. But Egg Bowl?
The Egg Bowl.
Oh,
sir.
The Egg Bowl. I'm sorry.
Put some respect on that name.
That makes it sound less
Put
like...
some respect on that name.
Oh, please. That's a meal you order at Denny's. But beyond that, you know...
Anyway, Mississippi State won that one 24-22 amid late.
Man, I feel bad. Ole Miss really fell off later. They started becoming like... They became the Penn State of the SEC, where it's like they're ranked and they win some good games, but then they start losing back and forth, and, you know, inconsistency, man, it kills.
Yep.
But at least they're bowl eligible, so.
In one of the battles for the Florida Cup, Florida State took down Florida.
That
45-38.
It's not.
That one didn't make a whole lot of. A lot of these games, I know it's rivalry week, but I feel like a lot of these games, more so than before, are more for fans of the school. Like this week are for fans of the school.
Yes.
Right? Because every year, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, those fans get down on that. Same thing with Florida State, Florida, North Carolina State versus North Carolina. So I'm like, okay, but there's less, I think, general interest, right?
I would agree with that just because I think, like, this isn't Florida State, Florida, where it's the Gators that Tebow was playing with, and Florida State with, you know, and even though I know the folks, they didn't play at the same time, but if this was like Tebow, Gators, Winston, Seminoles, that, you know, it's not that anymore. Right. And I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's never going to be like Ohio State, Michigan, or even Texas, Oklahoma, which I will disagree with Joel Klatt when he said that, no, that it was Gus Johnson, And I know we'll get to this game later, but they made the statement that Ohio State Michigan is the greatest rivalry in college football. I personally tend to disagree with that. But then again, I am a Longhorn, so. But I think it's a close second.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Longhorns, they won 38-27 over Baylor.
Going bowling, baby.
And
also, I should have. I wish I would have taken a picture of it. I mean, it didn't matter at the end of the night because Kansas State demolished Kansas, so it didn't matter. But I wish I would have read it closely because that graphic came up again of how Texas could have played TCU in the Big 12 title game.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. Kansas State won. It'll be them and TCU. It doesn't make a bit of difference. But
UCLA beat California. Tulane beat Cincinnati. That one I've never heard of, a Tulane-Cincinnati rivalry. I don't know if that was just ending up being the last game of the year for them, but
especially since Tulane's in Louisiana. So
I think this is dubbed because a lot of these teams play on this last week, but they're also non-conference or non-rivalry games.
Yeah.
On Saturday, Georgia struggled with Georgia Tech early.
Didn't I tell you?
Yeah.
At least it was early, and I knew it was going to last early.
But it does show that I don't think that they are like that much head and shoulders above everybody else anymore.
Not if I'm being honest, and again, I know we'll get to this. The team this weekend that proved head and shoulders.
Well, let's just dive into that game.
Was exactly. It was not Georgia. TCU still going strong.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how they fare against bigger competition. It was Michigan.
Yep.
Michigan looks like, and you know what? That excites me because if Michigan wins the national championship game, I'll be happy because it'll be somebody new and somebody fresh.
We can no longer call Ohio State Big Brother anymore.
No, they're the same age now.
Little brother's grown up and has ended up being, it's one of those ones where the little brother ends up being about like 5-6 inches taller, and all of a sudden Big Brother's like, oh
yeah,
crap.
yeah. Now that's not saying next year Big Brother won't come back.
No.
But Michigan this year was Big Brother.
And
same brother.
I think there were a lot of people that were going like, okay, last year was a fluke or whatever,
Yeah.
But no.
Because they were playing at Michigan.
Yeah, and so Michigan went into Columbus and beat the brakes off of them by 22 points.
Stomped them out. And this is going to be interesting because Michigan's the 2, and that means they'll be having to play TCU. Here's the interesting thing about it.
Assuming everything shakes out.
Yeah, well, I mean, what else is there besides like the conference title games? You know what I mean?
That's it. But man, I will talk about that in a second because I'm kind of rooting for chaos. But
oh no, me too. I'm very interested into that. But no, like one thing that they did, Michigan ran on Ohio. Like I'm not just talking about they ran on Ohio State consistently.
And here's the other thing is that like it'd be one thing if Michigan had beat them by like a touchdown.
Yeah.
No, that 22 points.
20
after beating by 17 last year.
And that's exactly, I was getting ready to say, it wasn't exactly like in the 20s or 22s, but they beat Ohio State by double digits last year.
So I don't know if this is, I think it is, obviously it's Michigan coming up and being good, but also now we have to start thinking, okay, because you talked about last week, you were like, who's Ohio State beaten? And now we've got to start looking at it next year of, how highly do we rate this Buckeyes team after what they've done the past 2 years? Because they've looked good against really kind of opponents, right? Because they beat Notre Dame, who at the time was number 5, but then after the first few weeks, they were like not ranked anymore. And then they've come back after that. But still, they're going to finish maybe in the top, like in the 20 to 25 range.
Yeah.
Arkansas State, Toledo, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Michigan State, Iowa, 13 Penn State, Northwestern, Indiana, Maryland, and then lost to Michigan. So they beat only one other ranked team or 2 ranked teams, but again, Notre Dame at the time.
Notre Dame at the time, was ranked high, but then they fell off. And Penn State is a team known for inconsistency.
Well, and they're always ranked around that area and never finish any higher because they can never beat Michigan or Penn State.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Ohio State. So yeah, now we have to start going like, okay, now I think Ohio State next year is going to have to start. Like they're not going to be able to just jump up into the top 4 anymore. I don't think. I think they're going to start off in where Michigan has been.
Yeah,
where they're going to be in that 5 to 10 range, and then they're going to have to work their way up. And they're going to have to beat Michigan.
No, yeah, 100%. Here's the thing. Ohio State, and this has been the case for the last few seasons, they have been able to coast for a long time. Since Zeke was there, but the difference is that team did go on to win a national title game, so I can't knock that too much. But look, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, their schedules have been soft. Like, I'm talking Bama level soft. And even Bama's schedule gets a little hard, as we've seen.
And then the other question is how does this reflect on the Big Ten as a whole?
The Big Ten, to me, has always been that conference that people overhype. The Big Ten Conference, newsflash, folks, is not that strong. I mean, because here's the thing. It's like what we talked about last week. It's Ohio State, Michigan State, if they can get their stuff together. The last time Michigan State was really, really good was when they beat Baylor in the Cotton Bowl, and that was when I was still in middle school.
And all those guys are in the East.
Yeah.
The West is...
The West...
The last time the West was really good was when, like, Wisconsin was having those good years. Or maybe Nebraska. Because the champion out of the West is Purdue.
Yeah.
6-3 in the conference, 8-4 overall. Like, the West is considerably weaker. And, like, if you look at who Purdue beat, they lost to Penn State, they lost to Syracuse, they lost to Wisconsin, they lost to Iowa. They beat... The only two teams they beat that were ranked was 21 Minnesota at the time in week 5.
Yeah.
And they're no longer ranked. And then 21 Illinois 3 weeks ago, and they're not ranked anymore.
Nope.
Like, so they play nobody, and they're going up. So, yeah, I think the Big Ten is maybe... I think that you can make an argument that they are the most overrated conference, and that the Big 12 deserves to have a little bit more, like, in terms of... I could see maybe the ACC, too, but not... No. But I think the Big 12
the ACC is...
But here's
the ACC is, in my opinion, worse than the Big Ten.
Here's the other problem.
Clemson, Florida State. Please name me somebody else. Okay, Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina hasn't really gone very far. They've been okay, but they haven't gone... Like, Clemson and Florida State have gone all the way.
But Florida State not even recently, though.
No,
when was the last time Florida
exactly,
State
that's what I'm saying. So if you take those three schools weak...
And at least you had OU for the Big 12, but even then they've fallen off.
The Big 12 has had Baylor. We've had OU. Texas, obviously. Kansas State beat Texas A&M.
Well, and now here's the other problem, though, is that the Big 12 is about to lose OU and Texas, and the Big 10 is about to pick up USC and UCLA.
Very, very true.
So at least, you know what? They better put USC in the West, because can you imagine a conference championship every year where it's the winner of Michigan and Ohio State versus USC? Ooh. That's a good conference championship week.
Yeah, that'll be, and
you know what? That would give some legitimacy to the winner out of the Big Ten, right? Because that's the other thing, is that basically the winner of Michigan, Ohio State for the last few years, which was Ohio State for like 8 straight and then Michigan, they would just play whoever managed to scrap out of the West, and they'd get a free win at the very end of the week. Whereas, like, how many times did Bama have to beat Georgia or vice versa to win the SEC championship game?
Yeah.
Like, that game is objectively much harder to win than Michigan versus Purdue is going to be this week.
Yeah. So yeah, that's not going to be a game. Here's the thing. It's like what you said. Unless you're a Wolverine or a Boilermaker, chances are people are not going to tune into that game. And I wouldn't blame them.
All right. So, yeah, Michigan, no longer little brother. They've all grown up. TCU dominated Iowa State, which I think is good, because I think if they had just skated by on Iowa State, that they might have actually gotten jumped by USC.
Yeah.
But the fact that they beat them big is good. LSU was upset by Texas A&M. And on the one hand, it kind of sucks because I kind of wanted the LSU to maybe be the first team to sneak in as a 2-loss team. And because I root for chaos, I want them to beat Georgia. And I still want them to beat Georgia because I think that's going to throw in some more stuff. But
maybe.
A&M managed to sneak out a win there. USC beat Notre Dame 38-27. Kind of expected that one.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams looks like he's going to be pretty good.
Didn't he come from OU?
Yeah, he left with Lincoln Riley. He was the freshman that
very
took
much
over
so, yeah.
during the Cotton Bowl, or during the Red River rivalry last year.
Yep.
And on the very first play for the scrimmage that he took over for Spencer freaking Rattler. He did like a 60-yard touchdown run. And then Lincoln Riley left, and he was like, I'm going to go follow Lincoln Riley over to USC. And now you have OU of this
I bet
year.
he's glad to leave disgusting Oklahoma.
Alabama beat Auburn in the Iron Bowl. And, of course, like, Saban was like, yeah, we deserve a spot in the CFP. I'm like, no, you don't. Dude, you got 2 losses. You've lost some bad teams. Speaking of Spencer Rattler,
South Carolina.
They have ended 2 teams' hopes at a CFP after taking down Tennessee and Clemson in back-to-back weeks. Spoilers. The spoiler makers, if you will. But they're not Purdue. Oh, all right, dude. If Purdue wins, I'm calling them the spoiler makers next week. Trademarking that as of 1:53 on November 28th.
Take that to an office, right?
I'm the spoiler makers. I'm putting that all over Twitter if they win. Oregon State beat Oregon in the Civil War, and now Oregon that's what it's called. That's what it's called.
That's the thing. You said that, and I immediately went Marvel.
Oh yeah, you got Captain America in an Oregon State and Iron Man in the Oregon green.
Would Captain America not be Oregon?
No, because the Oregon State at least had red in the uniforms.
That's fair.
It's kind of hard.
But they were traditionally orange and black.
Look, it's a beaver. I don't know. Tennessee shut out Vanderbilt. Penn State beat Michigan
that one
State.
was going to happen anyway.
Yeah, but Tennessee's basically just like they're just playing.
I don't know if they'll even go to the Rose Bowl because they've lost some big games.
No, they're not going to the Rose Bowl. It's going to be.
I thought they were. I'm sorry, Tennessee. I was rooting for you in the Rose Bowl. Too bad you're not going to be there.
It's going to be unfortunate for him. Kansas State beat Kansas
handily.
Yep.
Kansas is back to being, but they're bowl eligible, which hadn't happened in years.
Number 13 Washington beat Washington State.
That usually happens.
Number 14 Utah blasted Colorado. Colorado is not good this year. They're 1-11. UCF beat South Florida in the who gives a crap unless you're in the Florida Region Bowl. And number 25 Louisville made their debut in the top 25 and immediately got backhanded by Kentucky 26-13. So welcome to the top 25 and goodbye to the top 25
for Louisville.
So that sets up Conference Championship Week, and it starts
Conference Championship Week
Friday with UTSA versus North Texas in the No, who cares? Look, I go to North Texas. I'll be running the board for the game, and I'm still just like, there's better football on today.
Will the World Cup still be going on?
Yes, and the World Cup will still be going on.
You're going to be watching that at the same time, aren't you?
No, because I got to pay attention to the board and actually do my job.
Wink.
14 Utah versus 6 USC Friday night. That's what I'll actually be watching if I have to.
You said Friday night. Okay, fair.
If the only way that USC gets in now is they win, and they need help too. So USC has something to play for here.
Aren't they 4 now? What would keep them from?
Oh, and
because the AP poll dropped, they're 4.
Yeah, but the CFP is never the same as the AP.
Well,
Let me pull that up.
Yeah, that's true.
So it depends. Well, so the question is,
who would be 4?
Ohio State could be the question. Well, that's the question, right? The question is, did Ohio State losing to Michigan drop them out of the top 4?
Yes.
On their first win.
Yes.
Or on their first loss, because USC, if you look at them, their one loss was to Utah, who they already lost to. And Utah is not even ranked as high as them.
No, but Utah. Here's the difference about that.
Although Utah's 93, but still.
Yeah. Here's the thing, right? I really think that because the reason why Ohio State should is because that is the game that really. Because let's face it, every other game that Michigan and Ohio State play. Actually, Michigan has 2 big rivalry games because they got to play their real little brother, Michigan State. And they've got to play Ohio State. Those are the games that matter. And look, Ohio State doing anything else, it doesn't. Not in my opinion.
Well, here's the other thing is USC does have to win because if they lose, they're for sure out.
Yeah.
So you're still playing to be in. Like you don't have any wiggle room because Ohio State's not playing in the game. And I don't know how much that's going to help / hurt them. But if USC loses, they're for sure out.
Yeah, because that'd be 2-1.
And then
I really don't want to see Ohio State in this.
And so then the question is, like, so how much do some of these, because we'll go through, so you got 12 Kansas State against 4 TCU. Obviously, again, TCU wins and they're in. But if they lose,
That's just
theoretically
one loss.
they'll be number 3. But yes, but what if they lose and USC wins? Does the committee say Ohio State is better than TCU? Because I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Even though Ohio State didn't play in a conference championship game, got to factor all that in. And I really don't envy being the committee after this week. LSU versus Georgia. I kind of want LSU to win still, just because, honestly, I just want to see the chaos, right?
Yeah.
Like, I almost want USC, TCU, and Georgia and Michigan to all lose. I just want to see how the committee sorts all of that out.
I only don't because I'm afraid of how that's going to end up with us seeing the same basic teams in this. Scratch Alabama, thankfully, but, and Clemson, thankfully. But if we can get the third out of the big 3 that's usually in there out of there, I'd be set. No Ohio State, no Bama, no Clemson.
Here's the thing. The AP poll has Alabama at 6.
I know, I saw that, and I got very worried.
So if everybody loses, I could totally see a world where Alabama sneaks into number 4.
No, please, to the gods of football, please don't no. I do not want to see Nick Saban smug behind sneak into the CFP. No, please, God, no.
And then it'll cap off with the ACC, Clemson, North Carolina. Okay, so the CFP rankings aren't released until tomorrow, Tuesday, the 29th. The AP has Georgia 1, Michigan 2, TCU 3, USC 4, Ohio State 5. I agree with that, but again, I could also see the committee going, well, Ohio State's still better than USC. But I do think the 3 undefeated teams will remain in the top 3.
I mean, yeah. But, I mean, what I'm hoping for is LSU to upset Georgia just for,
For the chaos.
Yeah, just for the chaos. I'm hoping Michigan to, I don't have to hope for that. They're going to beat Purdue handily.
No, not my spoiler makers.
Stop it. Stop it. Let me see. I'm hoping for
TCU to win. And USC to win?
And USC to win. Okay. No, I didn't. That is the team I'm rooting. I need USC to win. I don't want Alabama to scoot anywhere close.
If it makes you feel any better, I think Ohio State would get in over Alabama.
That does not make it better for me.
Even if USC loses.
That doesn't make it better for me. I want none of the usual big 3 in this. I don't want them in it.
Okay, so you know what would be interesting?
Well, Georgia's becoming a part of that, but still.
If Georgia loses, you could have Michigan. You know what would be really interesting is how the committee would take a win over Kansas State versus a win over the spoiler makers. Because if Georgia loses, is there a world where the committee, because of a win over number 12 Kansas State, puts TCU as the best team in the nation over Michigan?
Potentially.
I don't think so. I think the win over Ohio State
no, of course, because Michigan's still undefeated. If Michigan's undefeated, that win over Ohio State
right,
is
but
going
they're
to keep
playing
them there.
Purdue, whereas TCU's playing Kansas State.
But it's like what you said. They would have finished the season undefeated, beating Ohio State. As much as them, because Ohio State stayed ranked throughout this year, Kansas State got ranked pretty late.
Yeah.
So, no, that game is not going to mean as much.
Okay, but hold up.
But hold up.
What if Michigan loses and Georgia loses and TCU is the number 1 ranked team in the country?
So
I think that would blow my mind.
TCU would be 1,
and
Georgia would be 2, Michigan would be 3. Well, because
because if USC wins, I think USC would jump Georgia.
But wouldn't that just be Georgia's first loss?
Yeah, but they would lose to 11 LSU.
Ah, that's a good point.
So I think USC would actually jump Georgia. And then you'd have TCU, USC, Georgia, Michigan.
TCU, Georgia, US. That's... Huh.
Or maybe Georgia would stay at 3, but it'd be TCU, or maybe they would stay at 2, and it'd be TCU, Georgia, USC, Michigan. I think that's maybe a bit more likely.
Yeah, that's what I think. So did you go TCU,
TCU, Georgia, USC, Michigan.
I don't know. I feel like USC would still end up 4. I can't. You're going if they lose.
If Michigan and Georgia both
that Ohio
lose.
State win, man, that goes a long way. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but that's why they would still be at 4, and Ohio State would still be at 5.
That's okay.
Because you could make the argument that losing against unranked Purdue should completely drop them out. But I think the fact that they beat Ohio State keeps them above Ohio State at 5.
Yeah, okay.
So
I can see your point on that.
Anyway, lots of stuff to take a look at over the next few weeks. We will take a break, and when we come back, NFL. Welcome back to the main event.
Yeah.
Yes. Ryan Baldwin here, Mason Shepherd there, still here to talk about NFL.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yes. That was not that funny.
No,
You're
it's
tickled
funny.
over there.
It's funny because it's such a Ryan thing for you to do.
I don't even know what that means, but I'm going to be offended anyway.
Yes.
Because it's 2022, and that's how the world works. Okay. Cowboys versus Giants. Let's just start off with the Thanksgiving game because it was first.
Of course. Technically it wasn't the first Thanksgiving game, but it's the only one that mattered. But
Cowboys over the Giants, 28-20.
yeah, it was It was bowling shoe ugly, but we pulled the win.
The first half was ugly. Second half was good.
Go ahead and say it, Ryan.
No, I mean, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. We know how I feel about the Cowboys on the show. But
were you at least surprised that we won 2 games in a row coming off a bye?
I thought for sure that on Thanksgiving we were going to get our butts kicked in a close game or something. Like we'd lose in overtime or something.
Yeah.
My main concern now going forward is that Dak had another 2 interceptions. And it'd be one thing if it was these interceptions were like great plays made by you're just like, tip of the cap to the defender because
where he just got position, went up for it, took it.
But these are picks where he seems to constantly be making the wrong decisions, or the receivers are not on the same page with him. I mean,
that one was the big the one where it was like receivers not on the same page. That was obvious. The one that got me frustrated, I think, was the first one where I knew it as soon as it left his hand, and I was looking at the play. This is how you know you're into football. But when he threw it to Gallup, and I was looking at the corner, I said, "Oh my God, he just baited him," because that's one thing about Dak that I can say consistently that he is, in my opinion, not improved at. He can read a defense at the line because then he'll go kill and they'll change the play, but his secondary defense reading is not good.
Yeah,
or it's not to the level of where it should be.
And on that first pick, I mean, obviously he thought it was a free play, but even if you think it's a free play, like the receiver wasn't even all the way downfield, and you just kind of lofted it up. That play had no chance of even getting you anything, even if it was a free play. On a free play, I want at least, I want my receiver and the quarterback on the same page so that we at least maybe get something downfield, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, the one that I was describing hurt me a little bit more because it was just like, that's basic quarterback being able to read. The free play thing, that's faulty mechanics and not really taking advantage of it. But like the second one where it's like this guy, you see him staying back and then he's going to come at an angle where he can come up and take it. That one is just like, you have to be able to read that and know he's trying to bait me.
And you can argue whether the second one was pass interference on CeeDee Lamb or not, whatever. But the fact of the matter is even on that throw, like I heard the commentator saying like, oh, well, he's got to get that like deeper. I'm like, there's two safeties over the top. He was essentially throwing that into triple coverage.
Yeah.
There was nowhere for him to put that ball that was going to be good, and it ended up bouncing up and getting picked off. I don't like that. Yes, he seems to do a good job at the line. It appears, because we can't really tell. Obviously we don't know what the play was before. We have no idea. But he has clearly not developed at all. This is year what? 7?
7.
This is year 7 of Dak. Like, by now you should be able to get stuff like that figured out. And if you can't, then that's a sign that things are not okay in Dak land.
Dak land.
In Prescott world.
There we go.
Is that, you like Prescott world better?
Yes.
Okay. So
But
over
no,
the last 4
but I
games,
agree,
he's
'cause
threw 5 interceptions.
The part that bothers me with Dak, and it's the main thing that I've been able to pick out, is that I think he's gotten better in showing the mentality of, okay, I know I can run this. I need to run this because I can. Because a couple years ago, he was really bad at that. And he'd hold the ball too long, and it's like, Dak, go. You see that they're not open, go. But what he struggled at, and this is what happens when the coaches don't even let you throw in practice. So I blame them too. His ability to not get so focused on, because he's done this all 7 years. Actually, he was better at doing it his first year. His ability or inability, if you can say that, he stays locked on a receiver. He's like, okay, this is the one that it needs to go to. We got to go. It's like, no, dude, change your view, because this is why, like you said, this is why it ends up being triple coverage. He stares them down. And the defenders go, oh, this is where he's going. Okay. And then he throws it anyway. It's like, no, dude, take the 5 yards. Another thing about Dak, he is very bad in the IQ department of take what the defense gives you. He's always trying, okay, we can go for 20. No, dude, sometimes you got to take 5 and keep it moving. Like he does that so frequently. And it's like, because one thing I've always heard commentators say during his games is like, well, this guy right here, he was wide open.
Yeah. I'm
like, Dak, what? Why are you not? Why are you looking here? Because he forces the ball too much.
And another thing that you just reminded me of when you were talking about focusing in on the receiver. Remember how many times that play Matthew Stafford made in the Super Bowl, a no-look pass where he's staring down the tight end and hits the guy in stride? That is the difference between an elite Super Bowl winning quarterback. Now, obviously, Stafford's been hurt this year, not the same level, whatever.
Yeah.
The Rams haven't been the same. But that is the type of play a Super Bowl winning quarterback can make. And that's what a Super Bowl winning quarterback can do for you. When was the last time a commentator made a comment about that about Dak? Because I can't remember them.
I can't remember
any. Yeah. When was the last time that Dak has thrown open a receiver with his eyes, or or put it in a spot where it was only a receiver could the receiver had to run under it, but it was the perfect spot. Most of the time he's bulleting it to a receiver, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this too. Michael Gallup bailed him out of a lot of bad passes.
Yes, he did.
And I said this a lot in the first half too, because Gallup played a great game, made a lot of good catches, but a lot of the throws to Gallup had to go up. And it shows he's got great range when he can hold on to the ball.
See, the problem with that's another thing. The Gallup, the reason why it bothers me with Michael Gallup is because his hands are strong. They're great. He goes up for the ball and he snags it. But there will be times it'll literally be like, and it's like, what? Did you not just jump up and between two people? The thing about Gallup, and this is why it kind of weirds me out with him. He's great for some reason. He's a great receiver in coverage, because for some reason that amplifies his abilities. For some reason, he can go up and then he just mosses on people.
Yeah.
When he's open stride, he'll, and I'm just like, what are you doing? And apart from the fact that he's injury prone, but I have a love-hate relationship with Gallup for that reason. When he's open and in stride, he drops this stuff. But when he's congested, he can make these catches all day.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe the team does need OBJ. I don't like him for the locker room thing.
Well, we'll get to him in a minute. Well, we'll get in the last segment.
Now because now he's going to be even more of a Cowboy because of what happened over the weekend.
Oh, you're right.
But yeah, go just when you watch the next Cowboys game this upcoming weekend, because it'll be against the Vikings. No,
I was going to say again.
The Colts, right?
Yeah,
Colts,
should be Indy.
Colts at home on Sunday Night Football. Watch the throws, even the completed throws by Dak, and watch how many of them you go, that wasn't a particularly good throw, but the receiver made a good play on it. Because that's how I felt this past week, and that's how I felt in other weeks too watching Dak. Dak was 21 of 30, which isn't terrible, but that very easily could have been 15 of 30, if not for some great plays made by receivers to make catches on balls that were high, low, behind. And I'm like, okay. This is and again, when I say he's an above average quarterback, that does not mean bad. If the average starting quarterback ranks 1 through 32, right? No. Yeah, 12.
32.
1 through 32.
1 through 32, yeah.
Then that means average is around that 16 mark, and above average is,
12
13,
to
15.
14, yeah.
Yeah. A top, a top 14 quarterback in the NFL is not bad.
No.
But also a top 14 quarterback, in my opinion, does not win you a Super Bowl. Unless the team around you is
good enough.
Is the freaking, what was it, the 2000 Ravens or 2008 Ravens or whatever?
It can be the 2000.
Where it was Joe it was before that. What team did Guilford play on?
I haven't heard I'm laughing just because, that's a very good point.
Trent Dilfer.
That was Ravens.
Yeah, it was the Ravens. But
Ravens.
It wasn't. What year was it though? It was Super Bowl 35, which would have been, give me a year. 2001.
2001.
But yeah,
hey, my birth year.
Nobody is saying Trent Dilfer was an elite quarterback.
No.
But he played well enough, and the team around him, especially the defense, was good enough that they could make up for it.
Yeah.
And I don't think this team around him necessarily is good enough.
No. Here's the thing. If this was like, Peyton Manning and if this was Peyton Manning and this was the was it 2016 Super Bowl? No. 2017.
Oh, with the Broncos?
Yeah. Where it was really bad. Good God. If it was that team, then I would be okay, because that means the defense would carry us. Mm-hmm. Yes, Peyton Manning fans, he got carried. Just accept it at this point. That means that our defense would carry us. But since that's not going to happen, as you stated, look, do I think Dak could get us to a Super Bowl? Yes and no. I think he could, because we've seen that without Dak, things are they were better from last year, where we totally got beat down except for one game. But with him, there is still that level of just on-field experience and leadership that we would miss. Now, I know that doesn't always relate to on-field production. I get it. But I still feel like Dak, attribute-wise, is still capable of getting us to some places. But that would take more of a collective effort. He's not Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers.
And I'm still not sold on Dak as a leader. I understand they look to him as a leader. But if you look at last year, when they came out flat so many times in football games, that's on your leaders. And I think, based on what I've heard from players around the locker room and from coaches, Jaron Curse is actually one of the better leaders on the field. In the squad.
He's very
Everything
underrated.
I've heard points to him. Coaches, players all say that he is one of the top leaders in the program.
Yeah.
By the way, Trent Dilfer in that game threw for 153 yards, and they won 34-7. He threw for one touchdown, 153 yards, but the defense got him a pick six.
Yep.
And I think 2 more interceptions, and there was a Jermaine Lewis 84-yard kickoff return.
Wow. So the Ravens who did they play?
The Giants.
Oh, if Jennifer was still here, I'd make fun of her for that.
But yeah, it was pre Eli Manning Giants too, because it was 2000. It was God, who was it? Collins.
Yeah.
But still, but that's what I mean. Like, you need a team that is that good to make up for a average to above average quarterback. And I don't know. I just don't think that the Cowboys have that good of a team.
Yeah.
Now, I could be wrong, because here's the other deal. Right now, you are looking at a date with the Buccaneers in the first round, the way things are shaking up. I just don't want to deal with Tom Brady in the playoffs.
No.
Like, even if the Buccaneers are 5-6, I don't want to deal with it.
That's a very raw deal.
Yeah. And then even if you beat them, you're probably going back to, if you beat them the way things shake out, you'd be going to Philadelphia.
Oh no, not this Philadelphia team.
Yeah, so I'm like, if you look at this,
this would be the third time we would play them, and we're pretty much going to lose when we play them again.
That's what I'm thinking. And it'll be on prime time. There's rumors that it could get flexed over to Christmas Day, which would be an interesting.
That would be awesome.
But yeah, so imagine. So right now, this Cowboys team, I want somebody to look me in the eyes and tell me this Cowboys team would be able to beat the Buccaneers and the Eagles on back-to-back weeks in the playoffs with this Cowboys team. The way it's
this Cowboys team
with a straight face.
Dang it! You can't move the goalpost, Ryan.
No, because that was a chip shot. No, like we got to at least make this a 30-yarder.
Fine. This Cowboys team.
You can't even do it.
I can't do it.
You can't do it because it's the Buccaneers and the Eagles.
I can't do it.
I don't want to play Tom Brady in the playoffs, and I don't want to play this Eagles playoffs. And even if you beat them, I think the most likely scenario is then you have to beat the 49ers in the conference championship game. I don't want to play this 49ers team again.
Oh, man.
I know the NFC is kind of looked at as not being like overall great, but if you look at the top squads you're going to have to get through.
The NFC to me is the top division this year. It is the top division.
I just don't want to deal with this. Imagine, dude, a gauntlet of Tampa Bay, Eagles, and then San Fran. I'm out. I'm done. We're losing at some point. It would be one of the biggest upset. I will say it right now. If they go through Tampa Bay, the Eagles, and San Fran to get to the Super Bowl, that would be one of the biggest upset runs in the history of the NFL.
Yeah. No, it would. It's sad because that's not even remotely going to happen whatsoever. I love my Cowboys, but that is nowhere close to happening. Not even close.
That being said, it was still like a good Cowboys win. I'm not going to knock them for that. It was Thanksgiving. They showed up. They did their job. They got out of town. That's fine. And then they'll play the Colts coming up. So, We'll see how that goes.
Your level of enthusiasm kills me, and then they'll play the Colts coming up.
Because I just wait for the day where the Cowboys, we just beat the Vikings, beat the Giants. I'm just waiting for us to crap the bed against the Colts and the Titans 2 weeks in a row, and then all of a sudden we're trying to struggle to play for a wild card spot.
I mean, you're not wrong, just because it's one of those things where it's like, do we have a chance?
Oh, sure.
Of course we do. How much of a chance do we have? Well, that's
we'll see.
That's something that's not really in our wheelhouse. Dallas doesn't really do well when it comes to gauntlets, as we've seen multiple times.
The other two games on Thanksgiving, the Bills barely beat out the Lions. I think
that game was really interesting.
I think the Lions are the best 4-7 team in the NFL. Like I think they have kept games so close. It's really kind of a shame that they have such a bad record.
Look, I'm just gonna say this, and I'm just being honest. Tony Romo said it, and I kind of agree with him. Even though they lost, the Lions are for real, man.
Yeah,
because they took the Bills to the limit. That was not they ran on Buffalo, and that offense is very dynamic.
They've lost by 3 points. 4 points, 3 points. They did put up a stinker against the Patriots and the Cowboys. 29. They lost by 29 and 18.
Yeah.
4 points, and 3 points. So they are like a touchdown away from a few of these games from being like 8-3. Like they are very
Can you imagine
close.
an 8-3 Lions team?
They are right there. Vikings.
I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of ever. But
the Barry Sanders era, I think they were pretty good.
well, okay, I shouldn't have said the history of ever. Modern 2000
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Vikings beat the Patriots 33-26. They bounced back, moved to 9-2.
Every time I hear, even though Tom Brady's not there, hearing Patriot loss still sounds good.
Well, then you'll be happy about the first score on Sunday. The Browns beat the Buccaneers in overtime.
I was happy to see that too.
23-17 on Amari Cooper's big catch set up a winning touchdown. Man, seeing him put up, I think he had 100 yards again.
Man, I wish Jerry just would have paid him.
Me too. Oh, he had 94 yards.
I wish Jerry just would have paid him. Actually, if I'm being honest, I wish Jerry would have drafted Justin Jefferson. But, we can't go back and change the things we want. So
yeah, he's going to have he's projected for about 1,200 yards. So Amari Cooper is still doing Amari Cooper things.
Yep.
Bengals beat out the Titans 2016, and don't look now, winners of 5 of their last 6, including 3 in a row. So the Bengals,
yeah, they've been on a roll, man.
They've been on a roll. This is what they did last year too. They just they stuck around, got into the playoffs, and started making noise.
Yeah.
Dolphins 30-15 over the Texans, and
they're
every
the
week
top team in the AFC East, right?
Yep. And every game that goes by that Tua doesn't die, I am a little bit happier.
He cares. He's very thankful for your support, Ryan.
The new MVP of the NFL, Mike White, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns as the Jets beat the Bears 31-10. The new Fitzmagic,
Stop calling.
The best backup quarterback in the entire NFL.
Hey, Mike White makes right. There we go.
He do. Man, I can't believe this dude came on, put on a show for the Jets in the last season while Wilson was out, and then got taken out. And what does he do immediately upon being put in as a starter again for Zach Wilson? 31-10, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, easy.
Maybe the Jets management should do the right thing for once.
But that's why I think he's like Ryan Fitzpatrick, because whenever Fitzpatrick was the starter, couldn't get anything done. As soon as he came on for somebody that was injured, boom, lighten it up.
I don't know what it is with quarterbacks like that. It's weird.
Commanders 19-13 over the Falcons.
Yeah, I told you the Falcons weren't doing anything.
No, but the Commanders are 7-5. Look out! Look out! Things are getting spicy in the NFC East.
Didn't we just? No, we did. No, this is the Giants we just beat. We're gonna beat Washington. I'm not worried about Washington.
Sam Darnold leads the Panthers over the Broncos 23-10. Now
that just shows how bad the Broncos are.
I was about to say, against most other teams, I'd be like, oh yeah, Sam Darnold.
The Panthers have lost consistently.
Sam Darnold won by going 11 for 19 for 164 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
The Jaguars took down the Ravens 28-27. Lamar Jackson struggling.
We'll get to that in a minute too. Yeah.
Chargers over the Cardinals 25-24 as Kyler Murray still maybe a little too focused in on that Call of Duty.
He said he watches film, Ryan. How could he be an NFL quarterback and he doesn't? Well, I'm literally quoting him. Stop looking at me like that.
I'm just imagining him having the film on his phone while he's gaming, while he's got the...
Oh, my God. But see, that doesn't make sense because he did so well last year. They were what were they 11-3 by this point?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on over there in Arizona.
Nobody is. It's Arizona.
And then in another one that made me scratch my head, the Raiders beat the Seahawks 40-34 in overtime.
Well, Derek Carr had to get something.
I guess, but Geno Smith was looking so good. The Rams minus Matthew Stafford potentially for the rest of the season.
The Rams weren't going anywhere with him at this point.
Yeah, but they might just completely shut him down for the rest of the season.
More than likely.
They lose to the Chiefs 26-10. 49ers blanked the Saints and poor Andy Dalton 13-0. And Sunday Night Football, the Eagles took down the Packers by 40-33. I was really hoping, I don't often root for the Packers, but I was really hoping that they would be able to take one off the Eagles there. But
if I want. See, it was a mixed bag. On one hand, I want the Eagles to lose, but I didn't want Aaron Rodgers to do it.
Yeah.
So if he gets to continue to suffer, I got no problem with that. Even if it is the Eagles that do it.
And then we got Steelers Colts tonight. And
Boo.
that sets up our look at the standings. The Dolphins ahead of the Buffalo Bills on a tiebreaker. And then the New York Jets and New England Patriots following up. Patriots at the bottom at 6-5. That's a pretty stout division. Only beat by our own NFC East. But we'll get to that in a second. AFC North, the Ravens and the Bengals tied at 7-4. And you know who played each other on the very last week of the season? On what I assume will probably be a primetime game? Ravens and the Bengals.
Yep.
That could be a battle for the division. AFC South.
The Lord knows it ain't going to be the Steelers or the Browns.
True. No, why? Because you know who's coming back next week for the Browns.
Ooh, that's a good point.
You know who's coming back next week for the Browns?
Deshaun
Watson. Not rooting for the guy, but you know it's he has that ability to turn a team around, especially one with enough talent on it, like the Browns.
Yep.
The
Talents and masseuses.
The AFC South. The Tennessee Titans 7-4. Colts 4-6-1, Jaguars 4-7, Texans all the way down there at the bottom. What's that say? Oh, 1-9-1. Awkward.
Worst team in the NFL.
Kansas City Chiefs leading the AFC West at 9-2, followed by the Chargers 6-5, Raiders at 4-7, and the Broncos way down there at 3-8. Every week that the Broncos lose another one makes that Russell Wilson trade jump up as like another layer of or another step in worst trades of all time.
The Brock Osweiler thing will always beat that, though. It will always 70. I mean, I know Russ got paid more, but at least Russ has won a Super Bowl and been one of the best quarterbacks for at least the last 6 years.
True.
Maybe even a little bit longer. Brock Osweiler showed up for 2 years and they gave him $70 million.
From the NFC least to the NFC beasts, once again, the Eagles 10-1, Cowboys 8-3, Giants 7-4, and look out, Giants, because the Commanders are 7-5, chasing you. NFC North, Vikings still leading. And who has moved in front of the Green Bay Packers? It's the Detroit Lions, second in the NFC North. 4-7, baby. Woo!
Oh, my God.
And then the Packers 4-8, the Bears 3-9. NFC South. My pick for the worst division in football right now. The Buccaneers at 5-6 are somehow leading, and they're only leading because the Falcons have played one more game and lost one more game at 5-7. Panthers at 4-8, Saints at 4-8. That is a disaster. And finally, the NFC West, the 49ers have moved out in front, feel like they're starting to get it together, get a head of steam going. They're 7-4. Seahawks 6-5, and the Cardinals and Rams out of the picture at 4-8, 3-8.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, there's a look at the NFL. Coming up next, the NFL released the semifinalists for the Hall of Fame, and much like we did last year, which was
very good.
We're going to complain about people who were snubbed. We're going to take a look and debate who gets in. Woo. And then be completely wrong.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the main event.
The main event.
The main event.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan here, Mason there.
Yeah.
And in a town called Canton, Ohio.
Yep.
Stands one of the great tributes to the NFL.
You sound like you're about to go into like a... There we go.
The NFL.
On EA Sports. But
the 28 semifinalists for the 2023 class.
Yep.
Of the Pro Football Hall of Fame has been announced.
Before we even get into it, like who the people are specifically, having looked at this list, how do you feel about it? Do you feel like, there are some people that you're just like, why are they on it? Or do you feel like there's some people that it's just like, why are these guys even still, why is this even a conversation? Like, these guys should have been in here.
There's a couple of ones where I'm kind of like a head scratcher about, but nothing where I'm like, this guy did absolutely nothing to get in.
Yeah.
There's ones where I'm like, okay, they're probably not making it this year for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't see any ones that I was like offended by their inclusion,
Yeah. I got the list right here. Want me to read off the names?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started.
So we've got Eric Allen, cornerback.
Yes.
Jared Allen, defensive end.
So Eric Allen, this is his third time as a semifinalist.
Okay, do you have it pulled up how many times?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'll just go one by one, and then you do that. We've got Jared Allen.
Also a third-time semifinalist.
We've got Willie Anderson, offensive tackle.
Also a third-time semifinalist.
We've got Rondé Barber, cornerback.
6-time semifinalist.
We got Anquan Bolden, wide receiver.
Second time.
We've got Henry Ellard, wide receiver.
This is his first, I believe it's his first time as a semifinalist and also in his first year of eligibility. No, it's just his first time. First time semifinalist.
All right. Then after that, we have Jahari Evans, offensive guard.
Now, this is his first year of eligibility, and he did make it to the semifinalists in his first year.
Nice. We have someone, I'm going to see if you remember, London Fletcher, linebacker.
Linebacker for the Rams during the Greatest Show on Turf, then the Bills, and then finished off with the Commanders of a different name. This is his first time as a semifinalist, but he retired way back in 2013.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised it took him this long, which makes me think that maybe he's not going to hop into the finals.
Like first time being considered. Oh yeah, that is true. I can't remember how long you have to wait.
You have to 5 consecutive years. So that means his first year of eligibility was 2018.
That's fair.
And it's taken until now to even get to the semifinals.
Yeah. Dwight Freeney, defensive end.
In his first year of nomination, he made it to the semifinals.
James Harrison, linebacker.
Same deals. First year of eligibility and a first time making it into the semifinals.
One of the voices of Sunday Night Football that we grew up with, especially me, Rodney Harrison.
Second time as a semifinalist. Did not make it last year as a semifinalist, but made it the year before. Odd.
We have another childhood superstar for me, Devin Hester.
This is one that I was upset did not make it because I thought if there was ever a first ballot Hall of Famer, it was this guy. But this is his second year, and I would be shocked again if he doesn't make it this year as a finalist into the Hall of Fame.
We have another. Stop. We got to get in conversation later.
All right.
We have another member of the Greatest Show on Turf. We got Torrey Holt.
9 times as a semifinalist.
Poor Torrey. Poor Torrey. We have Andre Johnson, wide receiver, Houston Texans.
Andre Johnson is in his second year.
Yeah.
Another note about Ellard, by the way, is he is in his final year of eligibility.
Ooh.
As well as somebody you haven't gotten to. It's the person you're getting to next.
Yeah, the person I'm getting to next, Albert Lewis.
Second time as a semifinalist. He's in his last year of eligibility, but the last time he was eligible was 2013.
God.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if he's going to make it in, but I keep getting ahead of myself.
Yeah. Another voice of my childhood, Robert Mathis.
Second time as a semifinalist, made it last year.
Darrell Revis Island.
First year not as of eligibility and his first year in a semifinal.
Steve Smith Sr., wide receiver.
Second time as a semifinalist, made it last year.
Fred Taylor, running back.
4 times as a semifinalist, and he's made it the last 4 years.
Joe Thomas, offensive tackle.
First year of eligibility and first year as a semifinalist.
Zach Thomas, linebacker.
5 times a semifinalist. This is his 5th consecutive year.
Hines Ward, wide receiver.
7 consecutive years as a semifinalist.
Good God. Love you, Hines. DeMarcus Ware.
Second year, consecutive years as a semifinalist.
We were both mad about this one last year. Ricky Waters, running back.
3rd time as a semifinalist, made it 2020, skipped 21 last year and this year.
Reggie Wayne. Poor Reggie.
4 consecutive years now as a semifinalist.
Yeah. Vince Wilfork.
2nd year as a semifinalist.
Patrick Willis.
4 consecutive years again.
Poor Patrick. And Darren Woodson.
Now in his 7th attempt at a semifinalist, made it 2015, 2017, and then the last 4 years.
So let's break this down.
All right.
So
can I pop off now?
Oh, go ahead, pop off.
Devin freaking Hester is literally one of, if not the best kick returners of all time.
Mm.
Yeah, he didn't do much as a receiver, but
that was technically his position.
Yeah, but still, come on, honor the guy who is one of the best returners in the history of the game. He should have been in last year.
Yeah.
I think honestly, this is a pretty weak field. I don't see any way he doesn't make. If there's any justice, there's no way he doesn't make it in.
Yeah, for me, Devin Hester, the closest person in the modern time, as far as like recently, has been Cordero Patterson.
Yeah.
Because Cordero Patterson just broke a return record this couple weeks ago or this last week.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think for Devin Hester, it was definitely cheap that he didn't get in. I think that he deserves to be in. The only thing, and I told you this before, I said what hurts Devin Hester is the fact that his position says wide receiver. Does not say.
Oh, it says.
No, it says. But what's first? He's a wide out first. Now he transitioned to just being a kick returner later, but I think this year he gets in. I genuinely think he gets in because you can't tell me that anybody has done anything on his level as far as kick returning and special teams. And you agreed with that.
Yeah.
So I think Devin's gonna get in. I think Devin should be in. Honestly, some of these guys where it's their last time, I think because the NFL likes to take pity on them because it's their last time, I think they'll get in. Because they'll want to admit guys who it's their last time.
I'm not saying that Sam Mills was bad by any stretch.
But
of
we
the
both
imagination.
agree that he shouldn't have gotten in. And then
He was a 5-time Pro Bowler and a 1-time All-Pro. But he did not do as much for the linebacker position as he did, as Devin Hester did for punt returning and kick returning.
Yeah.
Like, he was the last time that people were excited about somebody returning a kick, right? Like, anytime the Bears was on and it was a kickoff or a punt, you're like, all right, Devin Hester, he's ready to go. Think about how excited people got for Devontae Turpin.
Yeah.
Or Devontae Turpin. But imagine him actually, like, returning kicks a lot.
Yeah.
And actually having to touch. I mean, like, that was the level of excitement that people had for Devin Hester.
You're big on people who change the game. Devin Hester changed the game of special teams. Because I think with him, that became something that, actually, like you said, people paid attention to. Like, growing up with me, you had Devin Hester, Joshua Cribbs, before he got his bell rung in that Steelers game. It was horrible. Special teams became a spectacle because of someone like Devin Hester. So I think, so what if he doesn't get in? Are we going to go to Canton with Devin Hester protest signs?
Oh, yeah, I will. I'm just like, I'm like, look, again, the fact that Sam Mills is not a bad linebacker, but there's just no way that he did as much for the linebacker position as
Devin Hester did for special teams. Now I got to get on my soapbox. Now I got to pop off.
Pop off.
Listen, NFL.
All right.
You got to understand something.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm going to do it for two people because they deserve it. The fact that Reggie freaking Wayne is still having to wait this long. Now, I know we went over his numbers and we did all that. Look, you let in, and I shouldn't say let in because he was good. You admitted in Marvin Harrison. Why is Reggie Wayne having to wait so long? Like, again, we've noted that, he's waiting long, particularly because Reggie Wayne, like Marvin Harrison, has disappeared from the public eye. Like, those two, you don't hear anything from.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens. And that's the thing. It's just like, why is Reggie having to wait so long? Let Reggie in. Reggie Wayne's one of the greatest receivers to play the game. If you don't believe me, you can talk to Tony Dungy about that one and Peyton Manning because they both benefited from Reggie, merely existing. So let Reggie Wayne in. It's been 4 years. And how do you not? Now I'm really about to get hyped. How do you not?
Because I know who you're going with next, and I'll be right there with you.
How do you not put in DeMarcus Ware?
Exactly.
How do you not put in a man who's won a Super Bowl, been to numerous Pro Bowls? He has been for years one of the best defensive players. If you're going strictly on the line, the best defensive end in the NFL for years, and you don't put him in?
Oh
my God!
Ready? Sam Mills, now a Hall of Famer. Okay?
Yes.
1 All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowl. 1 All-Pro,
Yeah, 1 All-Pro.
5-time Pro Bowl.
He said 1 All-Pro, folks.
DeMarcus Ware,
Hit him with
4-time All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame All-2000s team, and a Super Bowl champion. Led the league in tackles for loss 3 seasons, led the league in sacks twice, and is top 10 in career sacks since the official stat came out in 1982.
You said top what?
Top 10.
Top what?
Top 10.
Top what?
Top 10.
Amen.
In sacks since 1982. Again, I'm not trying to hate on Sam Mills or anything like that. He's a Hall of Famer. They elected him, whatever.
Yeah.
Does the NFL just have does the NFL just have a vendetta against voting people in on the first ballot?
Some people do, yeah. I mean they probably do because they don't want it to look like it's that easy. But like when you play it as well as DeMarcus Ware did, kind of should be that easy.
But so here's the deal. There's not okay. So here's a list of people in the last 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's go the last since 2010. Let's just make it easy, right? Since 2010, here's the list of people that have been enshrined in their first ballot.
Excuse me. Okay.
Jerry Rice, Emmitt Smith, Marshall Faulk, Deion Sanders, Jonathan Ogden, Larry Allen, Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, Junior Seau, Brett Favre, Jason Taylor, LaDainian Tomlinson, Randy Moss, Brian Urlacher, Ray Lewis, Champ Bailey, Tony Gonzalez, Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, Calvin Johnson, Peyton Manning, Charles Woodson. Okay. Now, if you go and take a look, like Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher, Champ Bailey.
You said Troy Polamalu, right?
Troy Polamalu.
Ed Reed.
DeMarcus Ware was like the face of the NFL with those guys when it came to defense.
Yeah.
And Warren Sapp.
There is no way, and I can tell you, especially growing up during that time in the 2000s when all those guys were popular, DeMarcus Ware, if we're forming like a superhero team that's bigger than the Avengers and the Justice League, if you have Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, all those guys, like you said, DeMarcus Ware is in there. There is no reason why he shouldn't. You can make a case for why Jared Allen may be in the back. You can make even a case for why Robert Mathis is in the back, even though he was a dominant force. But the 2 guys that really should be in this year for defense, DeMarcus Ware and Dwight Freeney. You can't convince me those guys don't just... Well, really, it's 3 because Revis Island. But, we'll get to Revis in a minute. But, I'm just saying... There's no reason that DeMarcus Ware should not have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. No, there is no reason whatsoever. Because just like Ed Reed, just like Troy Polamalu, just like Ray Lewis, just like what are some other... Actually, Champ Bailey didn't win a Super Bowl.
He did with the Broncos, didn't he?
He wasn't playing then when the Broncos... Okay. No, Champ Bailey was retired.
In 2019, yeah.
So you mean to tell me that DeMarcus Ware is in the class with guys like Polamalu, Reed, Urlacher didn't win one either. So DeMarcus Ware has the leg up on being a Super Bowl champion. And no, folks, he was not riding the bench in Denver. He was contributing and still one of the best defensive ends at Denver when he went.
He in his time in Denver, he still had 10 in his first year, 2014. He had 10 sacks. 2015, 7.5 sacks. 2016, a little bit of a down year, but still had 14 sacks. And that was kind of like the end of his career. But still, the man had...
And was a Super Bowl champion.
And was Super Bowl. In 3 years, he had 21.5 sacks. In 3 years at Denver.
Unbelievable.
I can't believe that this man was snubbed that bad, man. It was terrible.
No.
Absolutely terrible.
DeMarcus Ware should be in. There's no way. It's bad when he's already in the Cowboys Ring of Honor before he's in the Hall of Fame.
And maybe there is some level of bias here because we got to watch him, but I feel like people knew that he was good because he was an All-Pro and a 9-time Pro Bowler.
Ryan, I watched, not all, but I watched a good amount of the guys that are on this list. and no name stands out to me as glaringly as not being accepted than DeMarcus Ware. Because Ryan, it's like what you said. It was just so apparent. He was the top gun. It was him number one at defensive end. It was Dwight Freeney number two, in my opinion. They were the premier defensive ends of the 2000s and the 2010s. That should not be in question, because in 2000, in the early 2000s and in the 2010s, there was not a force more formidable on the front line than DeMarcus Ware.
I honestly don't see any way, and he was a finalist last year. I don't see any way that he's not a finalist again this year.
Again, Jared Allen, that's understandable. He didn't win a Super Bowl. All he has to his names are Pro Bowls, and
he was still a finalist last year.
That's the thing. Jared Allen was a fantastic player, but he was not DeMarcus Ware level.
So they always do they have a senior player and a coach.
Yeah. Do they inject those later, because coach is on
those are separate than the finalists.
Oh, separate, yeah.
So like those get separated out. But yeah, so DeMarcus Ware, Reggie Wayne, Patrick Willis.
Yep. Devin Hester,
Jared Allen, Rondé Barber, Willie Anderson,
I think
Torrey
Darren
Holt, Andre
Woodson.
Johnson all made it last year.
Yeah.
Into the finalists.
Oh,
Darren Woodson didn't make it. Yeah.
Okay, you're reading finalists.
But yeah, so that's finalists from last year. If DeMarcus Ware, he should make it into the finals. So should Hester. I think those two, at least in this class. I mean, I don't think Darrelle Revis is a first ballot. I could maybe make an argument that Darrelle Revis, any guy that can get his own thing called Revis Island.
Revis Island was huge.
You could potentially,
that was mainstream sports media, Revis Island.
I could maybe see that as being somebody that could make it in. Let me pull up some of his stats, because I'm actually kind of curious now. So he's 7-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champ, 4-time All-Pro, Hall of Fame.
When did Darrelle Revis win a Super Bowl?
With the Chiefs in 2017, I think.
Oh, I forgot. Was he really playing that? Wait. No, because it's been 5 years. Yeah.
But he only played 5 games with them, so it may have been a late season pickup, or he got injured.
I mean, a ring is a ring. I don't know how much that counts, but
So but Pro Football Reference, by the way, which is where I look for all my stuff.
Yeah.
They have him as a 112.23 score, and the average is 99.46. So they very well could be. I just think Darrelle Revis is one of the premier corners, and was one of the premier corners. I'm talking Dion level. He was a freak as far as to me he was like the Jerry Rice of corners. And here's why I say that. And I don't mean Jerry Rice in terms of accomplishments. I mean Jerry Rice in terms of he had limited physical ability. Jerry Rice was not fast, but he was one of the best, if not the best receiver to ever play the game. Darrelle Revis was not fast. He was a lockdown corner. He couldn't beat you with speed. He couldn't beat you with athleticism. He beat you with mentality and technique. Yeah. And I think that is what makes him undoubtedly one of the greatest corners of all time and a first ballot Hall of Famer. Defended 130 passes over his career, 139, excuse me, and 29 interceptions. Was that lockdown corner where he you did not want to throw to him.
No, you did not. So Revis Island was real, man. If I had
to pick my 3 surefire, I would go and put my entire savings down on these guys being finalists. It's Ware, Revis, and Hester.
Ware, Revis, Hester.
Everything else is
you can make a case for
up in the air.
But no, Ware, that would be my 3: Ware, Revis, and Hester.
Yeah,
because I don't think it gets much better than those. And I think that it's better for I think it'd be better for the NFL just to acknowledge these guys in that, but everything else, which we're going to go through, we can make a case for. Like James Harrison's going to have to wait. I know it. Even though he's a Super Bowl champion and one of the best linebackers, but I don't think he would have the stat. I think his stats would be similar to like Patrick Willis's.
I don't know if London Fletcher's making it on a first.
Nah, I don't know. Fletcher will have to wait for sure.
Now, the one thing I did talk about last year is that the NFL likes to always get in an offensive lineman.
Yes.
There is only one offensive lineman in the entire semifinalist group this time, and that's Jari Evans.
There's multiple offensive linemen. Wait, did you say that were finalists last year?
No, that are semifinalists this year.
No,
there's two.
There's three. There's Willie Anderson. He was a tackle.
Oh, okay, I missed that one. Okay, three. Willie Anderson, Jari Evans, and Joe Thomas. Two of those are first ballot ones. So my guess is that Willie Anderson will finally get his call up, because I don't know if Jari Evans. I didn't watch Jari Evans or Joe Thomas at all. So
Thomas, I mean, what's going to hurt Joe Thomas? I take it back. What's going to hurt Joe Thomas? He played with the Browns his entire career.
10-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro.
Well,
Hall of Fame All-2010s team. That's not bad.
No, I mean, he's one of the best, but he played with the Browns his entire career, which means accolades are limited.
Jari Evans, 6-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champ with the Packers, and All-2010s team. Okay.
It's not bad.
That's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
I just know that one of those guys are going to get in because they always give a lineman each year.
100%.
They always bring one in.
That's a quota.
All right. Well, there's your look at the NFL
We're going to keep going in depth with this, folks.
Oh, yeah. We'll keep up with it as more stuff gets announced. Don't you worry. We'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we'll do one more, and it's about athletes getting in trouble because, of course, they can't not get in trouble.
Of course.
Welcome back to the main event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I like that.
Okay, that's the one we're settling on?
That's the one. I mean, you can stick with the yes one, but that's the one I like. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rocking with it, man.
Okay. Found it. Ryan Baldwin here. Mason Shepherd there. Now we are talking about sports adjacency. And it's about athletes who can't help but get themselves into trouble. Mason.
Oh, my God.
Tell me about it.
So, let me talk to you. Basically, so Lamar Jackson, after the loss to Jacksonville, he goes on Twitter to see that some fans are not happy with the loss to Jacksonville. And one fan makes the comment, basically, I'm going to paraphrase, basically, this guy wants all this money, and we can't even beat Jacksonville. And Lamar Jackson basically responds to him in a profanity-filled comment, basically saying that people like him have never smelt a football field, but yet they continue to talk. And then he made a reference that, people like him do nothing but eat a very explicit part of the male anatomy. And that is considered in the LGBTQ community as a homophobic comment, which because of that, he ended up deleting the tweet immediately after he sent that. But obviously people still saw it because this is social media. And Baltimore's coach is going to have a meeting today to kind of go over that.
Social media gets athletes in trouble. It's so much easier just to not be on it and not deal with it. And look, I know it's easy to say, as a guy that's not getting hundreds of tweets that are being directed at him, that he needs to do better. But as a person who could theoretically be in a position like that, doing sports talk or something like that, where people would be listening and giving sometimes constructive, sometimes not constructive feedback.
Let's be honest, not really that constructive most of the time. Like sometimes it is, but most of the time
it's
not.
But the easiest thing is to not engage or not say anything back. Because especially when you're angry, It leads you to say things that you don't necessarily believe, but can be hurtful or can be misconstrued or can be, taken as the wrong way or as something that's not what you actually believe. So the easiest thing is just to not do it. Don't do it. Stop. Bad. Social media bad. Athletes, stay off. Don't stay off, but don't engage.
Yeah.
There's a reason that the saying is don't feed the trolls. Don't give them ammunition. Just don't respond. People, and you know what? You're probably right. These people may never smelt a football. So then why do you care? I would if some dude that's never talked sports got coming after me about the way I talk sports, I'm be like, okay, I don't care about this guy's opinion because he's never, but I don't even have to say that to him. It shouldn't, don't let it affect you. And I know, again, that's easy for me to say, but again, don't engage with these guys who all they're looking for is to get you in trouble or get a soundbite or a clip or something. Just don't do it.
I think the reason why these people will engage with these people is just, I think especially for Lamar in this case, emotions were high. He's probably beating himself up. And it's not an excuse because you're right. Like, don't waste time on these people. In real life, as we saw with Blake Griffin, he gets heckled by some clown in a bar, then breaks his hand on the guy's face. And it's just like, so you injured yourself because some clown heckled you. And I think that's always been a problem with athletes just because they don't really understand, like, listen, not everybody's going to approve of the job you do. And some people are going to go to Twitter and get some people that agree with them about it. But
it's Twitter, man.
It's not real life.
It's Twitter.
Like, at some point, you got to be able to be like, look, this is this guy's opinion. I don't care. I'm upset that we lost, but I'm not going to, validate that by looking at some guy's Twitter. I just think athletes, because so many of them do it. I mean, Kevin Durant has burner accounts, and this is not me making this up or saying a joke. It's been verified that he has burner accounts so he can sneak and see if people are trashing him so he can defend himself later. So, yeah, Lamar, he'll be put on the hot seat for a little bit. Now, for future potential Cowboy OBJ, which my colleague here wittily pointed out that, because he's in trouble now, it'll probably make him even more of a Cowboy.
Jerry loves some guys that get in trouble.
Yeah. So basically, have you read up on what happened with OBJ?
I have not. Explain it to me.
So, because I'm still even a little confused about the nature of the OBJ incident. But from what I understand, he was falling in and out. He was going in and out of consciousness on in an airplane. And they told him, of course, as they do with their jobs, they're like, sir, you got to fasten your seatbelt because, like, if we kind of need to do that. And, he ended up getting kicked off. He ended up getting kicked off the plane. I'm looking into it like the ESPN app now, or you could pull it up just because I know that there's more to this, because if there's not, then I don't really, because I saw this, I was like, oh no, what did he do? But like, if all he did was like fall asleep on a plane or was on, you look it up, Ryan.
All right. So according to ESPN and the statement from the Miami-Dade police department, is it Miami-Dade? Whatever. Miami PD.
Yeah, there we go.
Officers were called to the airport for a medical emergency after the flight crew expressed concern that Beckham was seriously ill. Quotes, the flight crew was concerned for a passenger, Mr. Odell Beckham, as they tried to wake him to fasten his seatbelt. He appeared to be coming in and out of consciousness prior to their departure. Fearing that Mr. Beckham was seriously ill and that his condition would worsen through the expected 5-hour flight, the attendants called for police and fire rescue. Upon the officers' arrival, the flight crew asked Mr. Beckham several times to exit the aircraft, which he refused. Police said the airplane was evacuated and that Beckham ultimately got off the plane when asked by officers. So it appears that he is basically saying that he was asleep and that he was trying to sleep and that he complied, that he's saying him and his attorney are saying that he complied with the seatbelt deal, but that must have been after they called the fire and rescue and police. So you can look at this a couple of ways. You can look at it as he was trying to sleep, but being a little bit of a jerk and like being a pain and not buckling seatbelt. Or you can look at it as the flight attendant was being,
as his defense attorney put it, overzealous.
Sure. And you can take that to mean whatever you want it to mean, because there's plenty of implications that could go along with that. And then there is the third thing where it's like, see, maybe he like was kind of like overly sleepy. Like maybe he took like some NyQuil or something. Maybe like he wasn't feeling good. He took something that was going to help him sleep on the plane, and that's why he was he said he was sleeping. He was, but that's because he, I don't know, took a NyQuil or like took a big dose of NyQuil so it'd help him sleep on the plane because he wanted to get some sleep, and that caused the concern. My guess is usually that truth is somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere, yeah.
Especially because like they weren't accusing him of like being high or drunk or anything.
No.
They were just saying he was going in and out of consciousness. That could be a dude that just took a whole bunch of sleeping, or like that took a sleeping pill to help him sleep.
Or any other recreational activity.
But I don't want to like throw that out there and say Odell Beckham Jr. was on drugs.
I mean, even if he chose to be, he's not playing anywhere at the moment.
Right.
So,
but I'm just like, man.
I mean, I think, and that's the thing. I think the thing that kind of strikes me is that for them to get like concerned, this must not have seemed like any ordinary sleep.
Right. It's not like he woke. It's not like he was taking a nap, kind of like arms closed, and then they were like, "Mr. Beckham Jr., sir, would you please fasten your seatbelt?" And he was just like, "Okay." He was like either non-responsive, or said, yeah," and then like fell back asleep without doing it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's mostly a non-story.
Yeah, I saw it. No, because what I saw, and I kind of read it wrong. Because I saw it first thing in the morning. I saw like overzealous flight attendant, and I was like, did he have relations with somebody on the plane?
No.
And then I thought it was one of those cases where I was like, oh, he slipped in and out of consciousness. I was like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Ah, well. There you go. There is the athletes being in trouble, kind of, sort of.
Well, there was one that was in trouble. One of them. The reason why I still call it trouble is just like, why is a defense lawyer involved in this?
Just in case. I don't know. Yeah, well, that'll do it for the main event. Thanks for tuning in. Big thanks to Dan Bala and Mark Lambert for letting us use the Green Studio deep in the heart of Denton, Texas, on the campus of University of North Texas. Yeah. Until next week. Yeah. This is Ryan Baldwin, Mason Shepherd, signing out. Whew.